Welcome to Velvet Hour, where the day softens, and quiet stories lead the way to sleep. Tonight, you're invited into an orchard valley, where golden leaves drift through the air, and soft footsteps echo on stone paths. This is a gentle story, one without urgency or noise, where small gestures speak volumes, and stillness is a kind of conversation. Thank you for choosing to spend these next quiet moments with us. Whether you're drifting off already, or simply searching for calm, you are exactly where you're meant to be. Take a slow breath in and release. Let the day fall behind you, and let this story carry you gently forward. The valley was steeped in the scent of ripe pears and dry grass. October had come gently that year, like someone entering a room barefoot. Layla had been in the guest house for 3 days before she saw him. Not up close. Just a glimpse, a figure across the field, bent over a basket beneath the trees. She didn't wave. He didn't look up. But the next morning, there was a basket of pears left on her porch. No note. Just fruit. They were imperfect, dimpled, sun-warmed, a little overripe. The kind that fall before they're picked. She took one inside. The kitchen was still new to her. Pale counters, worn wooden shelves, a kettle with a slightly stubborn whistle. She sliced the pear slowly, letting the juice collect on her fingers. It smelled like honey and leaves. She ate it standing up by the window, watching the orchard. The man was there again, further down, now, near the edge of the property. He moved without hurry, carrying a low basket in one hand, brushing branches aside with the other. She could hear, faintly, the shifting hush of dry leaves underfoot. A kind of rhythm, like someone walking through memory. That night, Layla lit a candle and read in bed with the windows open. The wind moved through the screens like a lullaby. Somewhere outside, an owl called once and was quiet again. She slept easily. In the morning, there was another basket. This time, pears mixed with quince. Still no note. Only a folded linen cloth beneath them, smelling faintly of clay and cedar. On the 4th day, she saw him closer. Layla had taken to walking the edge of the orchard just after her morning tea, a slow, circular path beneath the old pear trees, their trunks thick and moss-lined. He was crouched near the wheelbarrow, sorting clay pots by size. A soft flannel shirt, sleeves rolled. He didn't look surprised to see her, just nodded once, in a quiet kind of hello. "They're from the older trees," he said, gesturing to the pears. His voice was steady, low, like it belonged to the wind. "They fall early, but they're sweeter when bruised." Layla smiled, then tucked her hands into her sleeves. "Thank you," she said. "I didn't expect anyone to be here." "Most don't," he replied. "I keep to the back field." There was no awkwardness, no rush to fill silence. Just the creak of the branches, the distant echo of a crow, and the smell of late apples warming on the ground. "I'm Layla," she offered. "Nico," he said, then added, "I make ceramics. The studio's behind the barn." She nodded, not out of politeness, but genuine interest. There was something grounding about the way he said it. He picked up a shallow bowl, brushing it free of dust. "I could show you sometime, if you're curious." Layla hesitated, then smiled again. "I'd like that." They said little else. She continued her walk, the path soft beneath her boots, and Nico returned to his wheelbarrow, sorting bowls into a quiet kind of order. That afternoon, she baked a galette, pear and quince, with cinnamon and thyme. When it cooled, she cut a wedge, placed it in a paper box, and left it by his studio door. No note. Just warmth, wrapped in pastry. She walked away before he opened the door. but she smiled when she heard the latch click softly behind her. The next day, it rained. Not hard, just a slow, silver drizzle that softened the outlines of the hills and made the orchard smell of wet bark and earth. Layla stayed inside most of the morning, no book open but untouched, the soft ticking of the clock filling the space where words refused to come. Around midday, there was a knock, not loud, just enough to be heard. She opened the door to find Nico holding the empty pastry box, now rinsed and wrapped in clean linen. "You forgot your dish," he said, though there was no reproach in his voice, only gentleness. "That wasn't part of the trade," she replied. He looked at the box, then back at her. "Maybe not. But I thought you might need it again." She stepped aside. "Would you like tea?" He hesitated, then nodded once. "If it's not trouble." "Not at all," she said, stepping into the kitchen. The kettle was already full. He stood near the window while she moved around the room. The space filled with the soft clink of cups and the rustle of chamomile leaves. "It smells like vetiver in here," he said after a moment. "Not just the candle. Something deeper." She smiled. "My perfume. I don't wear it every day, but today felt like a vetiver kind of day. Dry and green," he said, half to himself. "Like rain on stone." The kettle whistled, high and short. She poured. The steam fogged the window between them. "How long have you lived here?" she asked, passing him a mug. 5 years, he replied. "It was meant to be temporary. Then the stillness grew on me." "You don't miss the noise?" He looked thoughtful. "Sometimes. But not enough to chase it." They drank without speaking for a while. The rain softened, then stopped. She offered him another slice of galette. He took it with both hands carefully. "Would you like to see the studio?" he asked, his voice quiet but sure. Layla nodded. "Yes." But she smiled when she heard the latch click softly behind her. The path to the studio curved behind the barn, where the orchard faded into wild fennel and low shrubs. A cat darted between the trees, pausing once to glance at them before vanishing into the underbrush. Nico walked slowly, not out of caution, but in rhythm with the world around him. "I don't usually show people this space," he said. "Not out of secrecy, just habit." Layla followed him under the low eaves. The door opened with a soft creak. Inside, the scent shifted: clay dust, linseed oil, wood shavings, warm, textured grounding. A large window faced the orchard, streaked with old rain. Beside it stood a workbench with a dozen unfinished pieces, bowls, vases, a tilted teapot that seemed paused mid-thought. "They dry in stages," he said, gesturing gently. "I try not to rush them." She touched the rim of a half-glazed plate. It was cool and a little uneven, honest. "You're not aiming for perfect symmetry," she said. "No," he replied. "I used to. But now I think the hand should be visible. Otherwise, it may as well be machine-made." She smiled. There was something comforting in the way he said it, not defensive, just settled. In the corner stood an old kiln, its metal sides stained from years of fire. Nearby, shelves held jars of glazed powders, each labeled in careful handwriting. "That one's ash and sand from the ridge," he said, pointing to a small blue jar. "It gives a soft green tone when the firing goes well." Layla leaned closer. "And if it doesn't? Then it gives a different kind of green." They both laughed quietly. The sound seemed to hang in the rafters like light. "Would you like to try?" he asked, motioning toward the stool near the wheel. "Really? If you'd like. I won't coach unless you ask." She Saturday, the stool was smooth from years of use. "I've never done this before." "That's why it works," he said, settling nearby. "No expectations, no memory. Just feel." She placed her hands on the clay. It was cool, pliable, slightly resisting her touch. like a riverbed in spring. The wheel began to turn, slow at first. Nico tapped the foot pedal once and let her find the rhythm. "It moves more than I thought it would," Layla said, trying to steady her hands. The clay wobbled, leaned, then centered again. "It listens," he said, "but it doesn't obey." She let out a quiet laugh, focusing now on the movement. Inward pressure, then rise, then pull. Her fingers slick with water, the earthy smell of clay rising softly around her. He didn't correct her, just watched with a quiet kind of trust. The shape that formed was not a bowl, not exactly, more of a shallow dish, lopsided at the rim. "It's not much," she said, leaning back. "It's honest," he replied. "And you made it." She wiped her hands on a towel, glancing once more at the little dish before standing. "Thank you," she said. He nodded. "Come back any time." That evening, Layla walked the orchard path again. The light was lower now, golden, with that soft orange hue that only comes right before dusk. Wind moved gently through the high branches, carrying the scent of ripened fruit and distant wood smoke. As she passed the edge of the field, she saw something by her door, a small wrapped parcel. Inside, her clay dish, now fired and glazed. The same shape, still slightly off-center. But the finish, a deep green wash, subtle and uneven like moss under rain, gave it weight. She turned it over. On the base, etched gently into the clay, were 2 letters L.M., her initials. She held the dish for a long time, letting its warmth settle into her hands. Then placed it on the windowsill, where it caught the last of the sun, a small, imperfect bowl, and a quiet sign that she had been seen. The next few days passed softly. Rain in the mornings, sun by afternoon, and always the hush of the orchard as it settled deeper into autumn. Layla spent more time outside now, walking the narrow paths between trees, notebook in hand but rarely opened. Sometimes she wrote. More often, she simply watched the light move through the leaves. Nico came by once with a jar of pear preserves. "They keep better with cardamom," he said, as if it were obvious. She offered him tea again. This time, he stayed longer. They talked about clay, and scent, and recipes passed down in half-remembered measurements. She told him of the city, of its rush and flare, and how strangely distant it felt now. "Maybe it's not distance," he said. "Maybe it's just quiet showing you what you missed." There was no urgency to their time together. No bold confessions, no declarations. Just presence, warmth, a shared rhythm. The last night of October arrived with wind and copper-colored clouds. Layla lit a candle in the kitchen and stirred honey into her tea. A knock at the door. Nico, holding a shallow box. Inside, a set of small, uneven dishes, green-glazed, glazed with the same soft finish as hers. "They don't match," he said. "They don't need to," she replied. He stayed a while. They spoke less and listened more. The fire crackled gently. Outside, wind brushed the edges of the house like a memory wanting to stay. Later, as she walked him to the door, he turned to her with steadiness. A moment of silence, and then, "Stay through winter," he said. "Or longer, if the orchard agrees." Layla didn't answer right away. She looked past him, to the field glowing faintly under moonlight, and felt the hush of the world align with something inside her. "Okay," she said, as someone returning home. The candle flickered once, then steadied. If this story brought you a little peace, or helped you find stillness in your own quiet hour, we'd love to share more with you. Like and subscribe to Velvet Hour to receive new stories, each one crafted with care to help you slow down, and gently return to yourself. Your presence here means everything. Thank you for listening.